It's my honor to welcome everyone to West Kentucky Community and Technical College. It's March Madness, and this is the home of the 1969 National Junior College Men's Basketball Champions. I'd like to point that out to everyone. We're proud of that. There's a lot of history in the college here for many years past, and it's history that keeps improving. It's my honor, first off, to welcome all our dignitaries. I won't try to name them all because I'd leave the one off that's most important, so I won't let you figure out who that is without trying any of them. But I do have the honor of introducing the president of our institution, who has taken that history and that tradition and set it on new heights. And she continues to do that. She doesn't slow down, and we're very fortunate to have her at the helm. And she's here to welcome our guest today is Dr. Barbara Veazey.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I am going to just thank our speakers this morning. I won't go beyond that because I know better than that. But Governor Beshear, on behalf of our community, this college and the people we serve, thank you for your dedication to education and the work that you have done during your entire time in office to promote economic development. So thank you. Congressman Whitfield, you are truly a friend to this community, and we owe you a great deal of thanks. You have stood by this community through our ill workers. You have worked diligently in that effort, and you have been also a friend of this college. We can name several of our buildings, our initiatives, because of your help, but also now in retooling the workforce for today's jobs, but most importantly for tomorrow's jobs. Thank you. And Secretary Zawacki, I'm going to have the honor of introducing you in just a minute, but you are always a friend when you walk through those doors because you've visited us many times. So, and Sheila Clark, the director of the West Kentucky Workforce Investment Board, and I don't have Sheila in my eye line. There you are. Sheila has worked diligently since the time that the Transition Center, the Career Solutions community, moved into this facility and we became a true partner. She has worked diligently to this day of celebration, and this is truly a big day. So I want to publicly thank you for my opportunity to work with you on a daily basis. So thank you. This is a true partnership. Each of these entities that I've talked about, from state government, from federal government, to our own local, and to this college and the other colleges participating in this partnership. You can refer in your pamphlet to what is happening with this National Emergency Grant, but my message is one of retooling and educating those dislocated workers and their spouses. This is an absolute opportunity that this community as a total enclave coming together has to help this college and the others. At West Kentucky Community and Technical College, Murray State University, the University of Kentucky College of Engineering, Paducah campus, all of these higher educational institutions, we have the programs to assure that those who walk through our doors can move into a high-wage, high-demand job. We have those programs from healthcare to industrial maintenance, skilled craftsmen, and on into engineering. And I believe that this is our opportunity as a community to embrace this and work to make sure that we have people who take advantage of this, absolutely take advantage and change their future and their opportunities, and not be in any situation again in their lifetime where they cannot find a job or they do not know what to do. So I ask that this community join all of these partners that are here who've worked hard, but get behind this and say that we can do it. We have counseling, we have opportunities, opportunities to work on an individual basis, and we can tailor that program, that job that you're searching for. We can do that here on this campus in this Emerging Technology Center. And look around you. This is state-of-the-art training facility that we as a community, as an estate, put together. So that's my message. And now I'm going to introduce Secretary Tom Zawacki, Secretary of Education and Workforce Development. He has been in industry for over 33 years, 22 of that at Toyota. So he brings practical knowledge to this position and knows what it takes and what it means to have a skilled workforce. So thank you so much for being with us again. And Secretary Zawacki, let me welcome you to the podium.
Thank you, Dr. Veazey, and good morning, everybody. What a great day it is in Western Kentucky, despite the rain today. But what a great day, especially for the 875 workers that are impacted by the closure of the Paducah gaseous diffusion facility and the 80 workers at GE Aviation. It's a very exciting time for employers in this area as well, because the employers are going to reap the benefits of the education and the training that these workers are going to obtain. The importance of education and workforce training have never been greater. And companies think globally nowadays, and it's essential that our workforce be competitive so that Kentucky's employers can thrive and so that we can provide high-quality jobs for all of our citizens. Now, we know that a highly skilled and highly educated workforce is the engine that drives Kentucky's economy, and opportunities like the one that we're talking about today is going to help this region at a global level, most definitely. Now, from the start, there's been a high level of partnership between the West Kentucky Workforce Investment Board, the West Kentucky Community and Technical College, Murray State University, the Kentucky Career System, and other community leaders. And there has been a vital partnership between the workforce system and the Paducah gaseous diffusion plant to provide efficient and effective reemployment and transition services to the affected workers over the last year and a half. And this public-private partnership made it possible to put the business case together for this grant. And it should serve as a model for other communities that have economic impact as a result of things of this nature. So I commend the West Kentucky Workforce Investment Board with Sheila Clark at its helm. It took a great deal of diligence, dedication, persistence, and collaboration among community, state, federal officials to get this application through the approval process. Many of you that are here today have been personally involved in supporting the West Kentucky Workforce Board in obtaining this funding. And I have the honor of introducing someone who has been deeply personally involved, our Governor, Steve Beshear.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Let me first say that I realize that there's something happening in an hour or so on television, and so we need to be moving on here as fast as possible. You know, as Kentucky's governor, I'm very excited that the UK Wildcats will be in the NCAA tournament, and that our University of Louisville Cardinals, even though they were defeated yesterday, they will be in the NCAA tournament. And Murray State University Racers needs to be in the NCAA tournament. So we got to keep the pressure on. You know, it's always great to get back home. And West Kentucky's home for me. Most of you know I was born and raised just up the road here, about 60 miles in Dawson Springs in Hopkins County. And it is such a delight every time that I can get back down here in West Kentucky. It's been a delight to work with you all over the last 7 years to make our place here in West Kentucky what it ought to be. We've got so many things going for us here. We got great people, a great workforce. We got beautiful lakes. We got beautiful tourist destinations. We have everything it takes. And we just needed more of a partnership with Frankfurt, and over the last 7 years, we've had that partnership. And West Kentucky has had a seat at that table when the decisions are made about what's going to go on all across this Commonwealth. And I can guarantee you that this last year I'm governor, we're not going to let up. We're going to keep West Kentucky moving as fast and as aggressively as we can. You know, one of the issues that I've been dealing with almost since I came in the governor's office is the closing of the gaseous diffusion plant. And it's been a struggle for all of us. For all of us at state government, for all of us in the federal delegation, for all of us here locally, but most of all for these workers. And there's lots of people that have put in a lot of effort to try to find solutions as we have moved along. You know, we're talking not about a few workers being displaced. As you well know, it's hundreds and hundreds of our family, our friends, and our neighbors who have suffered and are suffering because of the closing of the plant. That's why I have personally been working over this period of time very closely with officials on the federal level, the state level, the local level, for several years now, trying to find various solutions to this issue. Time and time again, I've met with our federal delegation. I met with Vice President Joe Biden about this, U.S. Energy Secretary Ernie Moniz, and others to continue to seek those solutions. Once it was announced that the plant was going to close, I and many others demanded a swift cleanup effort, hiring local people to help in that cleanup. And we continue to direct our attention to long-term goals. Kentucky Energy and Environment Secretary Lynn Peters and I continue to work with Representative Ed Whitfield and others to increase federal funding for the cleanup of this site. And we're going to go thank you. As Congressman Whitfield well knows, we are already starting to proceed through this next budget cycle. And all of us are going to be working as hard as we can to make sure we get as much money as we can into that energy budget for the cleanup of this Paducah plant. We also continue to work with local economic development leaders to identify future business and industrial opportunities for this area. But you know, today's not about those high-level efforts. Today's about our workers, our family and our friends who have suffered through this. They can't wait for future development. They need to provide for their families right now. And so I'm happy to be able to participate in this announcement of obtaining about $4.6 million in a national emergency grant from the U.S. Department of Labor. That $4.6 million will give our workers and their families help by doing what it takes to return them to the workforce. This is an opportunity for them to learn new skills, gain new training that will lead directly to jobs. And I'm urging all of our displaced workers, and there's about 875 of them right now, along with another 80 up around Madisonville from the GE aviation plant there. I'm urging all of them and their families to take advantage of this opportunity, get involved with this effort. The grant, as many of you know, goes to the West Kentucky Workforce Investment Board. And it'll be working with the Kentucky Career Center and an array of our educational and job training institutions, like the West Kentucky Community and Technical College, our other CTC sites, Murray State University, to make numerous possibilities available. You know, I've been following this grant application for a while. Tell you a little story. Last fall, I was in Louisville, and I was speaking to a National Governors Association conference when Sheila Clark, the director of the Workforce Development Board here in West Kentucky, came up and cornered me. I mean, I was sitting up on the podium getting ready to give a speech. She comes over and she tugs on my arm. She said, "Governor, we need this grant." And there happens to be a high-level federal labor official sitting over there at that table. So Sheila and I went over and put the full court press on. And in Kentucky, we know what that means. And it was the full court press. We urged that official, who happened to be a deputy secretary, to review that pending application as quickly as she could and give it her full attention. Well, I don't know what that did, but we got the grant, and here we are. And it's mainly people like Sheila that got it for us. It's that kind of persistence that Sheila demonstrates that's what it takes many times to get the attention when you've got thousands of applications running across your desk in Washington, D.C., and she and others made sure that that application got the attention that it deserved. So I want to thank our U.S. Department of Labor and Secretary Tom Perez for hearing those concerns and for making the right decision to give us those resources that's going to improve the lives of our citizens. And obviously, I commend Sheila. I commend she and her team at the West Kentucky Workforce Investment Board for all of their hard work and persistence. Tom Zawacki, who you heard just a minute ago, his whole cabinet has worked hard on this. President Barbara Veazey and others here at the West Kentucky Community and Technical College. Congressman Whitfield and his office have been on this full court press, just like I said. You know, he hasn't let up for a moment. Congressman Whitfield and I go way back, you know. We're both, of course, West Kentucky boys. I'm from Dawson Springs. He grew up, you were born in Madisonville, I believe, weren't you? Or Hopkinsville, and moved to Madisonville. And we actually served in the legislature together at one time. He went on to great things. I just got to be governor, so, you know. But we have had a great working relationship and a good partnership, and hopefully all of the persistence that we have exercised has been part of what has resulted in what's going on here today. Your McCracken County Judge Executive, Bob Leeper, who I served with for the last 8 years while he was in the legislature and is now county judge. Mayor Kaler and all of her folks that have worked so hard on this. All of you here in the McCracken County area and all in the West Kentucky Purchase area, you put in a lot of effort, and it's that kind of collaboration, folks, that has brought us to where we are today. You know, much of my emphasis over the last 7 years is on creating a stronger, healthier, more educated workforce. I want our workforce here in Kentucky to be the workforce that businesses just fall all over themselves to come here to hire. And with this kind of effort that we're making here today, it's going to push us a long way down that road of continuing to create that kind of workforce. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Governor. That was true. I take every opportunity I can, and that happened to be an opportunity. Perhaps my failing was not asking the governor on a monthly basis to call the Department of Labor and remind them about the grant. But we had other people helping us with that. Congressman, your office and Michael Pape got tired of me calling and saying, could you let someone know this is still out there? And Marty Wiles, I know that Senator McConnell had his office calling, and every time I'd call, they'd go, is it not funded yet? And I'd say, no, we haven't heard from them. So it was an interesting pathway to get that. But I will say, when I expressed my concern to the governor and asked him, he asked me 2 questions. Is this for Paducah? Is this to serve the people? I said, yes. He stepped in front of me and said, come on, let's go. That's all it took. So that's leadership when you need some leadership there. So thank you, Governor, for letting that happen. We're here today because we have our Career Solutions Community, our special career center, to serve the individuals that are dislocated here in the college. And our partnership with Dr. Veazey and her staff couldn't be better. We have a wonderful staff with the college that we're working with. We have our local Career Center staff with Gina Triplett and her group. We have the staffs from the Purchase Area Development District and Pensacola Area Development District that work with the workforce programs. And we're certainly proud of their efforts and all the times that they have to look into the face of someone that's just been told your life is changing and you're going to have to look for another job or a new opportunity. But we're glad to say that we do have cleanup jobs in place, and Fluor has been very helpful in making that happen, and we're glad that they're with us today, and Con and all your staff. Thank you, and we thank you for your help there. In our partnership with the Education and Workforce Development Cabinet, not many times, Congressman and Governor, do we have opportunities to seek funding for some of our state agencies, but we were able to do that through this grant to actually include money for local staff from the cabinet to help this grant move forward. And then we also have other opportunities reaching out to our educational partners even outside of the college to help us in these opportunities. And we cannot do this alone. Every day we find that we need someone else's help and connection to get something to move forward. And we're hoping that we can help Fluor with the rest of their hires and other new opportunities that I'm sure that the economic developers within the region will bring to us. We have a wonderful working relationship there, and we appreciate that because we're at the table when they're talking to that next job that's coming into the area. And we know it's a difficult challenge, but we have a skilled workforce that we can pull together and offer that skilled workforce as a resource and an asset to that next business or that next industry that's looking at our area. And we hope to be able to offer more skills and different skills with the dollars that we have received under this. Knowing the time and knowing that there's a group of people in Nashville with blue sweatshirts on that are supporting us from afar, I will move on and give a short introduction to Congressman Whitfield. I think the governor did part of the introduction for me. He is a native of Hopkinsville. He grew up in Madisonville, served in the state legislature. He came to the House in 1994. He has an emphasis on subcommittees of energy and power, and he's been very supportive of the USEC workforce over the years in that effort. And he's always been there for us when we were asking the Department of Labor for funds. And this is not our first rodeo in doing this, and we hope to continue. We have some other issues close by with Fort Campbell and some other things that might be popping up. It's not something we want to do to serve dislocated workers, but it is an opportunity to help our workforce, and that's what we're here for. So thank you, Governor, for being here, and Congressman Whitfield, if you'll come up.
Thank you. Thank you. Sheila, thank you very much, and thank all of you for taking time to join us this morning. It's an exciting day, a day of celebration, and I'm delighted that Governor Beshear was able to come down, and I know that he's paid a great deal of attention to Western Kentucky, and he mentioned about our growing up in Hopkins County together and going to the legislature together, but he neglected to talk about some of our most productive work was at the Delta Tau Delta Fraternity House at UK. And he whispered to me before he came out, said, "Don't talk about the Delta Tau Delta experience." But I've always really enjoyed working with Steve Beshear, and when we were in college together, he was always focused, even at that time, on public service and talked a lot about the opportunity to serve in state government, and he's done a great job, and I do value his friendship, even though on some policy issues sometimes our parties differ. But today is one of those days in which everyone has come together to make things happen. And a lot of people have talked about Sheila Clark. And I've had the privilege of working with Sheila ever since I've been in Congress, and I would say that she's not a retiring shy person. And that's the kind of person we need in her position, because she keeps us all focused, and we appreciate the work that you and your team have done, Sheila, and of course Barbara Veazey. I don't really need to say anything about Barbara. All of you know the outstanding job that she has done at the community college and continues to do. And we're all excited about maybe another Aspen Award coming up, and that is really a feather in the cap to the community college system, and it couldn't happen without a great team working together. And of course, the judge and the mayor, they've been involved in all of these developments. You can't live in Paducah or represent Paducah as governor or as congressman or state legislature or anything else without being involved in the gaseous diffusion plant, because it's meant so much to this community in so many ways. And I'm delighted that Fluor is involved with this contract. Many of you remember Corey Hicks, who I had the privilege of working with. He was my chief of staff for many years, and he's now with Fluor here in Paducah, and he tells me on a regular basis that he likes Paducah a lot more than Washington, D.C. So I'm delighted that he's here, and I know that they'll continue to do a great job. But we all understand that it takes a community effort, and it takes the chamber, and it takes all of the economic development teams and everyone working together to make this happen. And I'm delighted that Secretary for the Education Workforce Development Cabinet, Tom Sawaki, is here. I don't want to talk a lot about personal things, but Tom Sawaki's son-in-law worked in my staff in Washington as well. He's a great lawyer, went to Columbia Law School, I believe. He's married to Tom's daughter, who's a physician in D.C. And we hope, Governor, we're trying to get them back to Kentucky because they both are so talented and productive that we'd love to have them back here at some point in time. But I guess they say that everything's been said, but not everyone has said it. A lot has been said this morning. I would like all of you to know how much I appreciate the opportunity to have worked with the community of Paducah over the last 20 years. There have been a lot of challenges, and this is a particularly progressive community. And when we talk about this celebration today and presenting this check, many people have already mentioned that the only reason we're here, truthfully, is because of the impact of job loss on people, husbands, wives, children, and it's easy for us to get caught up in the macro things and forget the impact that it has on individuals. And we live in a world that is changing rapidly today, and you have to be prepared. And when we talk to employers at all levels, they all talk about the necessity for a well-educated workforce. And that's what this is all about. So it's easy for us to talk about someone losing a job. Many of us have lost jobs, and we know the impact that it has. So this is an opportunity to retrain, give them another opportunity, another challenge, and maybe even greater than what they've had in the past. And so that's the way we approach it. And so I think the last thing that we have to do is to do the formal check process, application, and presentation. Sheila had mentioned that it took 10 months to get this grant approved by the Secretary of Labor in Washington, D.C. And I don't think that means that they didn't want to do it, but we all know that you get a lot of big bureaucracies and it takes time. But it couldn't have been accomplished without everyone working together. So Sheila, you and the governor and the mayor and the county judge, if everyone would come up here, and the secretary and anyone, I'm not in charge of this, so whoever wants to come will present the check.
We also had our legislators who worked on this. I see Gerald Watkins, Richard Heath.
Right.
Anybody else
Yeah.
here from our delegation?
Should we get up front here? And Sheila, once you get
Yeah, you
In the center.
Barbara.
I'm here.
Come on over
I'm
here.
next to your side. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for all you do. You know, before we all break up and leave, and I know the governor and others have talked about this tournament down in Nashville, which the game starts at noon, I believe. But before we do that, we have a wonderful opportunity this morning. We have a gentleman with us named Carl Monday. And if y'all would bring Mr. Monday up. Carl Monday served in the United States Army and was at Pearl Harbor on the day Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese. And it was brought to our attention that he was there, and I know all of us certainly appreciate his service. It's hard to believe that this man right here was there at Pearl Harbor when it was being bombed. He lived at Schofield Barracks in Hawaii. Governor, if the governor will join me in this, the first thing we have here, we have a National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day signed by our President Barack Obama, and a letter from the President to Carl Monday thanking him for his service. So, Carl, the governor and I would like to present this to you first of all, and thank you once again for what you've done for our country, and we appreciate it very much. And we want to give you as many things to take home as possible, so we have a few more things. This is a certificate of special congressional recognition to Mr. Carl Monday in remembrance of his service to our country, so I hope you'll accept that. And then in addition to that, this is an American flag that was flown over the Capitol in remembrance of your service to our country, and I hope that you will accept this as well. And then the last thing is my favorite name. Amen. 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 All right, let's look right at it. Thank you. Thank you.
At 20 minutes to 5 on that Sunday morning, more Japanese planes than you could count flew under the radar so we wouldn't have any advance notice and attacked Pearl Harbor and all the Army and Navy installations on the island. With their torpedoes, their bombs, and machine guns, they sunk 18 of the Navy's biggest ships, including aircraft carriers, battleships, cruisers. They bombed and set fire and machine gun all the barracks and everything on the island. The attack lasted 2 hours. And before the planes left, they had killed 2,500 others from the airplanes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm delighted that we could do this, and I appreciate you all taking time to share this with us. And I've been told by Sheila Clark and others that concludes the program. So that's it. Thank you.